excited for us to have this amazing speaker today. Chris is someone who I have been looking at in his social media. So I never met him in person until yesterday,
Yesterday.
but I had this huge, massive admiration for him. And although he has an amazing bio, I'm just going to tell you why we reached out to him to ask him to be on this. There's a lot of influencers out there who pitch themselves like they're always on something, always on social, but at the end of the day, other than likes, it doesn't amount to anything. And to me, the likes can give you a dopamine hit, but they truly don't do anything for what it is that we're doing here. The real reason that we are in real estate, which is to start creating some generational wealth, not just wealth for us, but generational wealth for our families. So I wanted to bring somebody that not only talked the talk, but also walked his talk and actually had a great story and was able to turn all of his 80, 90, 100,000 likes on his post to actual business. So the way that we're going to work this is he's going to give us a presentation. If you guys want, you can always put your questions on the chat and somebody from the team will make sure that you get that in response, or you can put your hand up in the in your little thing and we will be able to have you ask questions. Anyway, without further ado, Chris, I'm so excited to have you on our mastermind and take it away.
Yeah, first off, Sarah, thank you for having me. I'm always excited anytime that I get to speak and just kind of pour into people. So I never take that for granted. So thank you for having me. It's funny, I gotta shout one person out. So George Barry is one of my buddies. He used to live here. So funny enough, he has seen the entire story from when I used to work for the government to now. So he's seen the whole everything, which is pretty cool. But again, thank you guys for the time. So the way I always start anything about social media is if I can do it, trust me, you can do it too. Um, I was so kind of giving a little bit of my background. I was a really shy kid growing up. I am still an introvert. I'm not sure if you guys could tell yesterday, but I'm pretty quiet. Normally, if I'm out in a group or a crowd, I'm normally the quiet one. So social media wasn't anything natural for me at all whatsoever. So first thing, if you don't feel like that's at all natural for you, that's okay because it wasn't natural for me at first. And it's still every day, it's not technically natural for me, but it's such a big part of who I am and what I do now that it's natural for me now. So a little bit of background about me. I've been in real estate for 11 years now. I know I don't look that old, but I've been in for 11 years now, 9 years full time. Before I did real estate, a lot of times we don't like to say part time. We'll say dual career. I was a dual career agent for 2 years while I was working for the federal government. And I knew that working for someone else wasn't really for me. And I knew I wanted to do something else. So I started looking around, and 11 years ago, I don't remember any real estate shows or really how being a realtor seems kind of like sexy these days. I don't remember that back then, but I knew I liked looking at houses, as cliche as it probably sounds. I knew I liked looking at houses and I knew I liked helping people. And so I started looking around at what I could do to kind of, you know, cure that itch that I had to be an entrepreneur, help people, and again, something when it came to real estate. And so I think it was my dad said, "Hey, why don't you get your real estate license?" And so I got my real estate license at 24, well, 23 technically. I was about to turn 24. And the first year I didn't do any business. I treated it more so like a hobby back then. And I didn't do any business the first year. But then the second year I had my license, I did my first deal, who I actually, oddly enough, I got my first deal off of Facebook. So it was my first deal, and I'll kind of talk a little bit about that deal because it's very special to me. But so my first deal, I got that client from a old high school. I didn't necessarily call him a friend, but like acquaintance. We used to talk in high school. And I think I posted something like, "Hey, I just got my license. or, hey, I'm a year and something like that. I'm looking for clients. If you're looking to buy or sell, would love to help you. He reached out a couple months later. We closed on his first home. That was my first deal. And I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do for the foreseeable future. And so, 10 years later, I've done close to 200 million in sales. Um, I think I made a pretty good decision. But again, the first deal that I ever got was on social media. And the way I used to get business before, kind of the pandemic, and I'll touch on that too, was really being out in person, talking to people, really getting out of my comfort zone. I would do open houses for other agents. Well, when a little thing called COVID-19 happened, that wasn't doable anymore. So when the pandemic started in 2020, I looked back and for whatever reason, had a screenshot back then. I had a little over 2,000 followers. And that was mostly, past clients that I had, folks that knew me, um, people in my sphere of influence, things like that. And so, again, I'm an introvert. Being on camera was very foreign to me. And so when the pandemic happened, I was looking around at how I could get business. I can't be in front of people anymore. So how can I be in front of people without physically being in front of them? My phone. So I decided to start posting more, taking Instagram seriously. And then I remember when Reels came out. So again, I may be dating myself, but if those of you that remember, Instagram used to be all photos back in the day. And then video came. And I remember doing my first video. It had nothing to do with real estate. And I make this joke all the time, but please don't look at that first video because it was terrible. It had nothing to do with real estate, but it got me out of my comfort zone. And the way that I really started to build my following was I would do at least a reel a day. So one video a day. And I did that for 2 years straight with little to no growth there. And just when I was about to give up, my first viral reel hit. It was January 4th of 2022. It's actually pinned on my page if you look at it. Um, it was the first, actually, I can show you guys. So I'll show you at the end. But the first viral video hit, and it's a little over 1 million views now, which was a lot back then. And I think I got about 10,000 followers off of one video. And then the following week, another video hit 1 million. Right, guys, right when I was about to quit. I was like, this is not working. I'm getting business sporadically here and there. I'm not growing a following like I thought I might after 2 freaking years of posting consistently every day. I wasn't seeing any growth. And right when I was about to give up, that video hit. And then the following week, another one hit. So the first thing that you want to do when it comes to building a social media following, not only just a following, but something that converts into business. And it's funny seeing Amy on here. We were just talking about this, that your job is to build a brand that's unique to you that will separate you from everybody else. So it's pretty cool when I'm out. Like I was at the event yesterday, and most people know me from social media. And even my sphere of influence, it's funny, even my 7-year-old son will call me Chris Perry Real Estate as a joke. But even he knows that's what dad does. I have shirts with my name on it. I wear my polos all the time. I even have like my necklace when I have like my chain on, it has my logo on it. So it's always very strategic of pushing my brand forward. And on social media, I don't need people to know anything else about me besides I sell real estate and I would love to help you. Outside of that, it's great that you know other things about me and I try to give who I am. I try to, and I'll kind of go into, how you connect with folks. But the biggest thing is to let people know that you sell real estate and that you're good at it, right? And you are active. So things like myself, I post all of my closings on social media, every single one. And if you look at my page, and again, at the end, I'll kind of go over some of my page and how you can set your page up. Every single closing that I have, I post on there and I have what we call highlights on my Instagram for every year. So people can see that I'm actually really closing the numbers that I say. People can lie about numbers, but you can't lie and the proof is there. So every year, I post all of my closings so people can go back and see all of the closings that I've had every year. So that's one thing I recommend. But the biggest thing that if you want to build a brand specifically on social media that will convert, it's three things. Well, first thing is you got to be consistent. So write that down. Consistency. Consistency is everything. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be like me and post every single day. I don't, the only days I typically will miss is a Sunday because Sundays I don't always post. If I feel inspired to post on Sunday, I will. But I post 6 days a week. Um, but that's for me though. That doesn't mean that you have to post 6 days a week. If you are consistent and you post 3 times a week, that's fine. But you have to be consistent. Um, if you watch TV, like I'm into, don't judge me, but I'm starting to watch Love Island. My wife has me watching that. But it comes on every day. And you know, like clockwork, it's going to come on every day. Whatever your favorite show may be, you know, hey, if it comes on Thursday at 8 p.m., it's going to come on Thursday at 8 p.m. It's not sporadic of, oh, this show may come on, this week it may come on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Next week, it may not even come on at all. Who knows? Like you have to be consistent. And the biggest compliment that a lot of my clients will say to me when they first meet me, it like over the phone, once I start to convert them, is that, I didn't know anything about real estate. Oftentimes they're afraid because I work with a lot of first-time home buyers. A lot of times they're afraid they may be the first person to buy a home in their entire family. A lot of them have been dissuaded about buying a home. They've been told buying a home is a scam, it's stupid, it's a money pit, things like that. But they see me often. They may not see me every day, but they're going to see me often. And not only do I show, nice homes, but I also break things down to where they can understand it. And if first-time home buyers, especially in this market, which I totally understand being afraid in this market, if they can see someone that's actually breaking it down where they can understand it, it's much easier to convert them. They're a warm lead when they come over. And you have to have a way for you to convert them as well too. So you have to have a way for them to get on your calendar. Um, I use a specific platform called Calendly, Calendly. I use Calendly. So most of the folks that will put time on my calendar, they don't reach out to me first. A lot of times I never see them like anything. I don't see them comment. I don't even know half the time that they follow me, but they'll put time on my calendar and I foster a community where they are comfortable enough to put time on my calendar. So you have to have, if you want to convert folks, you can't expect them to, um, DM you or comment all the time. But if you give them a way and a platform that's easy for them to put time on your calendar, because you have to get them on the phone. And, if you are, I don't know where everyone is in their real estate career, but if you don't like being on the phone, you don't like making money in real estate. That's the God's honest truth. So before I work with anyone, I have to get them on the phone because not only with that consultation, I go over everything of what the process looks like, but I also set expectations of like, hey, I have showing agents that help me out. I work with Usually at one time, I don't work with less than 15 clients at a time. Like if I'm working with less than 15 folks at a time, that's really slow for me. So I can't, like right now, I have 12 buyers and 10 active listings right now. I can't show every buyer that's looking every home. So I have folks that help me out, showing agents, things like that. I set expectations up front. So you want to have those systems in place because again, a lot of people just put out content and they don't have any way to convert them because they don't have any way for folks to easily put time on their calendar. So that's another thing. Have a way for people to put time on your calendar. You have to have, just like Sarah put there, you have to have a system to convert because those people are not just going to come to you and, hey, DM you, hey, Chris, can we jump on a call? I want to buy a home. That's not the way it works most of the time. So, also with that, when it comes to content, people work with who they know, who they like, and who they trust. So when it comes to that, how can someone know you if they never see you? You could have the best product ever. Let's look at most products out here. Um, Sh- we'll take Shein, for example, or Fashion Nova, both of those. They by no means have the best product. They're fast fashion. They probably have the worst clothing, but you see them all the time. They're always hitting you with text messages, ads. They're that in your face. So where, oh my gosh, I have a birthday party to go to. I need something quick. Let me go to Fashion Nova. It may not be the best clothing, but it gets here quick and I always see them. You have to think of social media that way. Ryan Serhant, who I look up to, is says this all the time and I actually listen to this all the time. But he says who makes the money these days is who gets the most attention. Like attention is currency these days. So if you can capture people's attention and hold their attention, even if they know five other agents, unless they're super loyal to that agent, which most people are not, they're going to go with the person that they see constantly because they're typically going to go with the person that they see when they need you. So if they've seen you before, but you suddenly drop off for 6 months, they're going to forget about you. And when they're looking to sell or buy a home, they don't see you anymore. So they don't think about you anymore. I got a question, and you guys can shout it out to me. Does anybody go to Costco here?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So in Costco, I learned about this in business school. Costco has a brilliant business model. If you ever go to Costco, have you ever noticed that they will typically never have more than three brands of anything? You ever notice that? Do you know why? Any guesses why?
Limits the choice.
There you go. The human brain can typically only think of the top three things of anything. If you're not in the top three, you're forgotten. So the same with real estate, being a realtor. If you're not in, and typically with realtors, it's the top one. If you're not in the top, we'll say top two. If you're not in the top two of realtors that people are thinking about when they need you, you are forgotten. I have a fairly big following. I have almost 95,000 on Instagram. I have almost 40,000 on TikTok. And I promise you, if I were to stop posting for 6 months, people will forget about me. We don't have the luxury. I don't have the luxury of stop posting because people will forget about me. I am not that important for people to remember me for 6 months plus without me posting. You have to think that way, especially if you want to build a business and a brand that will convert and make you real money. Because with social media, and hopefully you guys have been seeing how social media is getting more pervasive every day. And brands, not only, I know we're talking about real estate, but if you want to make money with brands too, they go with who has a brand, right? If a brand's going to pay you $5,000 for a post, I'm just throwing that number out there, they want to see that you convert. You know how to convert, you know how to sell product. And not only do you know how to sell product, but you know how to sell yourself. So again, people work with who they know, like, and they trust. How can they know you if they never see you? You can have the best product ever, but if they never see you, they'll never know who you are. And when they see you and know you enough, they start to like you. Commonalities, right? So for me, a big thing for me now is working out. So it's funny if I go more than 2 or 3 days without posting some type of like workout or I'm at the gym, people be like, what's going on, man? Like, you good? Like, because people look at you, um, and you never know not only like what commonalities that you have, but you don't know who you may be inspiring to do whatever it is that it may be that they want to do, right? So people, if you are for example, a dog mom or a dog dad, right, and you love your dog and you have a golden doodle, show that. People love that, especially animals. People love that. You'd be surprised how many people will want to work with you because of that commonality there, because you're just like me. They have commonality there, so they start to like you. Show who you are. Show what you like to do. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan. Hopefully, we have some other Eagles fans here. Like, I show my stuff all this. There you go. Rosa, I love you. See, I show my stuff. Like, I show what teams I like. I show places that I go, my workouts, all of those things that may seem, I guess, maybe cringe to you, or, maybe you don't want to show that stuff, that's okay. But tell your story, show who you are, because people want to know you, because we as realtors, breaking news, we all do the same thing. I'm no different than any other realtor on here. We all do the same thing. But the biggest thing to separate me from someone else is, yes, I show up consistently. Yes, I do all of those things, but I show who I am. Show who you are. People will like you based on who you are as a person. And then once they know you and they like you, then they trust you, you build a community. One thing about me, I'm big on community. So if you ever notice on my stories, I'm not sure if, anybody watches my stories, but every Sunday I do Sunday Q&A. And people ask me, I try to get to as many questions as I can, but people ask me probably 50 questions a week. So it's hard to get to everyone, but I try to answer at least 5 to 10 of them a Sunday. And I take that out of my time. I don't charge people for anything. You can ask anything that you want, and I will give an honest answer every Sunday. And I take that out of my time. That's completely free for folks. I do lives as well, where I'll just get on and answer questions for people, things to foster community, because community is big. You can have a huge following, you could be a big influencer, but if you don't have community, you don't have anything. That's the reason that personally I like Instagram more than I like TikTok. TikTok is less about community, more of just the video. So people will see your video on their For You page and they'll follow maybe from one video and they may never interact with anything else. But Instagram, especially when you do things like answering questions for people and taking time out of your day to do those types of things, then you will foster that community and people will want to work with you. So people work with who they know, who they like, and who they trust. Focus on community. These are little things that you can do that are not, rocket science, but I promise you when I tell you, it will separate you from everybody else that just throws out content and doesn't do anything to nurture their community. So you do those things, and then the last things, I want to make sure we get a good amount of time for questions, but you tell your story. And I'm not going to go too deep into, the emotional parts of things that I've been through lately, but um, you never know what people are going through outside of real estate. You never know what people are going through, and you never know who you can inspire to continue to keep going and to not give up. So you want to tell your story. And again, I have had folks, one of my clients in particular, he ended up buying a house from me because he saw that I started talking about when I started therapy. I started talking about it on my story. And he would comment like, "Are you okay? Like, what's wrong? Like you're in therapy." I'm like, "I'm fine." Well, I was going through things, but like I'm fine, but it's good to just talk to somebody. We started talking about that. He gets into therapy and then he wants to buy a home. Had I never talked about therapy and little things that I was going through, I would have never made that connection there. So you tell your story. You can control your narrative, though. You don't have to tell everything, of course. I don't show everything. I don't tell everything. But tell your story, though. You don't know who you can inspire to keep going, who you can inspire and motivate to not give up. And when it comes to, especially us as real estate agents, and especially if you are a homeowner as well too, tell stories of when people are buying homes. And again, most of the folks that come to me, they don't even think they can buy a home. A lot of them are scared. They have no clue where to start, but they see me. And I seem like I know what I'm talking about from what they say, and I seem approachable, and they want to, at least figure out what's the first step to buying a home. And when we have our consultation, they're like, "Wow, that's much easier than I thought. Let's get started." You want to tell your story, even when it comes to like, hey, this particular client reached out again, didn't think she could buy a home, but she did. Tell those stories. Tell the bad ones too. Hey, this deal fell through. Don't do these things because you don't want to not buy your home like the other client that I had. Of course, don't put out names and stuff because you don't want people to get upset. But you can tell general stories because people like stories and people identify with stories. So tell the good, tell the bad, tell what it's like being a real estate agent because everybody thinks what we do is so easy. And I wish they really knew it wasn't. But tell people identify with stories. Tell your story consistently and you will get the right folks. The last thing I want to say too, because I definitely want to open it for any questions you guys have, is you can't be all things to all people. That's huge. You're not going to be universally liked, right? You will get negative comments sometimes. People will dislike you for whatever reason. Most likely it's not because of you, but that will happen. You cannot be all things to all people, and you shouldn't want to be. Everybody is not my client, and I don't want them to be. I love everybody, but I don't want everybody to be my client. And you should be the same way. But the beautiful thing about social media that I love is when you are yourself and you put yourself out there and you're consistent and you putting out your content, people are starting to know, like, and trust you. The right people will come. I promise you that. And they will support you and they will love you and they will want to work with you so long as you are yourself, you're consistent, and you're constantly putting yourself out there and you're providing value. Provide value too. As long as you're doing those things, the right people will find you, your tribe will find you. I promise you that they will love you and they will want to work with you. That's my spiel. What questions do you guys have? Um, if you want me to expound on anything, let me know. But I try to always keep it, high level. I don't want to get too deep. That could be hours. But what questions do we have?
So, Chris, we do have a question from Ray,
Okay.
where he is asking, are you posting reels or carousels and why?
Good question. So I do a little bit of everything. I don't do carousels as much, but carousels work. Um, Typically for me, it is either reels, so video, or I do like static posts. And what I mean by static posts, I'll show you what one looks like. Um, so I do a lot of these. So I do all different kinds. Hopefully you guys can read this, but like a static post here, and I think it might be backwards, but so I do static posts like this, or I'll do typically videos. And the videos I do range. So I'll do like home tours, I'll do those, and I'll do like a voiceover with it. Those always do really well. I do a lot of talking head videos too, where I'll have an article and I just talk to the article, what my thoughts are, what my opinion is. And I always ask people to let me know what their opinion is in the comments. So I think a good real estate, specifically for real estate, I think a good strategy for social media is to make it varied. You don't want to have, again, just my opinion, you don't want to do all video because people may get fatigued with that. And people don't always share as much video, but if you make a static post where people really like it, they'll share it more than a video sometimes. So switch it up, make it varied. It doesn't have to be one thing, just all video, all static. Hey, I spitball all the time. Some things work, some things don't. But that's the fun of social media. Good question.
Chris, we have a question from Anna. She asked, do you run Target? I'm assuming targeted ads.
Yeah, so I don't really do much of any ads. Everything is organic for me. So I've done ads in the past. Um, I haven't done an ad probably in maybe a year and a half. Everything's organic for me. But ads work though. So I know quite a few folks that do ads. The only thing I would say to that is just be careful what you put an ad for because Instagram at the end of the day is a business and their business is to make money. They are never going to tell you this is a terrible post to put money behind and it's going to still perform terribly even with putting money behind it as an ad. So if you're going to do ads, I would say go to YouTube and search ads and like how to optimize them because you don't want to waste your money. And Instagram will never tell you not to put money behind an ad, and every ad doesn't work well. So, very good question. But if you're going to do ads, definitely learn about them first because I would never want you to waste money because a lot of people do.
Okay. We also have a question from Heather. Are you concerned about AI affecting the ability of social media users to trust the content?
That's a really good question. I am not personally because AI is a really good tool if used correctly. If you go to Chat GPT, and when I tell you I'm a novice with Chat GPT, I don't know that much about it, but I have used certain prompts. If you do a prompt of, hey, Chat GPT, help me to build $1 million brand on social media, I promise you, it'll give you really good prompts. So for me, I'm not concerned about AI. I think it's a really great tool, and I think we should use it. Good question.
Next, we have some questions about sort of the logistics behind things. How do you structure your day to shoot content? Are you setting aside, I'm every day at 10 a.m. I'm shooting something, or I shoot, you know, Friday I spend all day shooting so that I have basically meal planning for the week or meal prepping, but with
Yeah.
content prepping. How do you structure that?
Yeah. So for me, the way my mind works, I'm very extemporaneous. So meaning I speak off the top of my head. When it came to this was all off the top of my head. I was speaking in Nashville 2 weeks ago. It was I have very loose notes, but I pretty much speak off the top of my head. My content's the same way. If I were to batch record, you guys wouldn't like it because it wouldn't sound like me. It would sound very calculated. It would sound like I'm reading most likely. So all that to say, I record every day. Um, it normally takes me 30 minutes max to make a post, record, edit, post. It normally takes about 30 minutes max. And that's a pretty detailed post. I've made posts in 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes. I mean, I don't record as long as people tend to think I do. Even the static posts that I do, they typically take 2 minutes to make for me. They're really quick. So, but that comes with repetition. That's with anything in life. The more you do something, the better you become at it. So, with the reps, as many reps as I've had with this, I mean, this is 4.5, 5 years of constant doing this. It's easy for me. And you'll get better with it the more you do it. But you do what works for you, though. So, if batch recording works for you, do that. If you feel like you can't record every day, don't. Batch record. But for me personally, I can't. It would look terrible. You guys wouldn't like batch recording for me.
All right. Our next question is from Tiffany, and I'm going to add a little bit to it. She
Okay.
asked, "What program do you use to talk over the article?" And then my question would be, what are some other apps or programs that you're using to shoot video or edit video for Instagram?
Yeah, so my post, I don't overly edit my stuff personally, but I know some folks that do. So there are a couple apps that you can use. So you can use CapCut, 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 one word. You can use CapCut to edit. Um, you can use an app called Captions if you're doing like a talking head video like that and you want like the really cool looking captions. You can use Captions. Um, there's a few other apps too. Instagram has a new one out called Edits, so you can edit in their app too. Me personally, I edit in the app. So I'm always typically if I'm going to post something in Instagram, I have shot it in Instagram, I've edited in Instagram, and I posted in Instagram. But I always do save it though. And if I feel like it's good, I'll put it in TikTok too. But my TikTok content is normally a little different because TikTok is more of I do more talking head videos. And what I mean by talking head is me talking like this. So people tend to like that a little bit more on TikTok than like the calculated videos that do really well on Instagram. So all I have to say, typically when I will record something, it'll be in the app, usually, unless it's something very detailed. And I don't do those too much. So don't overcomplicate your content, especially when you're starting out. You can just do very kind of basic content. And I can actually show you guys. what that looks like too, if you guys are interested.
Sure.
Okay, hold on. I'll actually record one. Okay, here, I'm pulling it up now. Okay, so show you how easy it is to record a reel with you talking. Okay, so this is me talking here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is me on my phone. So this is a test reel to show how easy it is to post you talking and to put captions in your reel. It's a good test. Okay, so I recorded it here.
Mm-hmm.
So you hit next and it'll come up. You literally go to here or, yep. So you go here, hit this button here, you hit captions, and it captions it for you. It's that easy. So I think the biggest thing is to not overcomplicate content. And don't worry about the viewer count. I know everybody wants to be viral for whatever reason. Virality does not equal business. Let me say that again, please. Virality does not equal business. The most viral folks that you see sometimes are not making a dime, especially in real estate. Those views don't matter. They do matter, but they don't. Virality does not equal business. So if you are giving real value to 100 people, you get 1,000 solid views, and that produces a client for you that ends up buying. That's much better than putting out a video that gets 20,000 views but no business. So don't worry about the viewer count. Worry about providing value. That's all that matters. So don't overcomplicate content. It could just be you getting on and talking about specific topics of real estate. Try to make it interesting though. Like, please don't just get on and just talk because people will be bored and will scroll. But try to make it interesting. Maybe crack a joke or two or something like that. But don't overcomplicate your content. I promise it's not that hard to put out content. Social media makes it really easy too.
We have a couple questions about content.
Yep.
So Aaron asks, well, he says first he's a big Eagles fan and a fan of yours. He's curious when you first started, were you focusing more on educational content or were you just trying to get people, likes and followers?
Yeah, very good question. So when I first started, I was all over the place because it was still new to me. It wasn't second nature to me like it is now. Again, I'm still at the core of me. I'm still very well. I'm not as shy anymore, but I'm still that shy kid growing up. I'm still an introvert, so it wasn't natural for me to do this. So I was all over the place. Um, but when I really started to focus, it was more on education. And that's where I think I really built my business and how I built my business on first-time home buyers. But now it's somewhat switching up because I do a lot more luxury now. And if you look at my page, you'll probably see I show a lot more $1 million plus homes because I'm getting more $1 million clients now. So it's very intentional the way that I post. But I think it's all depends on who you want to talk to, right? So I use this analogy all the time, but I'm in Maryland right now. I don't just jump in the car and try to drive to Salt Lake City, Utah, and I don't know where I'm going. I don't use GPS or anything. I just jump in the car and start driving. Like I don't know where I'll end up. But that's how most people look at their social media and that's how they use it. They don't know who they're talking to. They don't know who they're trying to target. They're trying to be all things to all people, and that's why they don't have any traction. So if you know that you want to work with first-time home buyers, and I always ask this question too, and you guys can shout it out at me. Does anyone know what their target market looks like? Like, who is your ideal client? Who do you typically work with? What does that look like? Age range, what does that look like for you guys? You can shout it out. I'm curious because I can tell you down to the T what mine looks like. What do you guys clientele look like? Is it move up buyers? Is it first time home buyers? Is it specific age range? What does that look like for you guys? You can talk back to me. It's okay. I'm curious. You can take it off mute.
Marquita says it's first time home buyers for her.
That's too broad. What does that look like? And I'll tell you why that's too broad in a minute. Anybody else? What does your clientele look like? Is it move up buyers? And I won't
Hi,
belabor the
Chris.
point.
So when I was an agent,
Okay.
I
Sound
was
like
an
someone
agent
was saying
DC.
something, Tom. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry, go
And then
ahead.
we'll go. Yeah.
Hi, it's Tiffany Wren McMurphy. Hi, Chris. I'm excited to support and pop in on you today.
Yeah, Compass
Um,
family.
I know. So my clientele has kind of grown up with me. So
Okay.
I'm a Hampton University graduate. Go to Alfred
Nice.
Street Baptist Church, one of the largest in the area. So most of my folks kind of come from that sphere in some degree. I would say this last 6 months that I've really been back being super active, most of my clients are actually out of towners. Um,
Okay.
in the Hampton, in the Alfred Street. I'm originally from Oakland, California. Like in those three like places, I'm
Okay.
getting my clients from those spots. And I'm
Okay.
kind of doing that by I go to an event once a week. That's kind of in my sphere. And then of course it's back to doing open houses, which I would say like at this point are 20% of my business.
Mm, awesome. So you're doing a lot of, sounds like relocation clients.
A lot of relocation clients and also taking
Okay.
advantage of our personal in-house referral network.
Perfect. Okay. So what I would recommend for you, we're gonna do like a little audit for you. Okay. So if you know that, which is great, you should be doing content based on relocating to the DMV. So what does that look like? Where should they be going? Where should they be looking? If you're from, hey, I'm Tiffany, I'm from Oakland, California. I moved to, I don't know exactly what your story is, but hey, I moved to the DMV. This is what it looks like to move to the DMV from California. It's different. Hey, it's not as, I'm just throwing these things out here, but it's not as laid back as California. I love LA personally. I've been a million times. I'm gonna buy a house out there. But like you can do content based on relocating. I love that you know who your clientele looks like. That's perfect. Okay. Tom, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, so when I was an agent, my clients were GW graduates who were buying their first home and mom and dad were helping. So I had a lot
Nice.
of content that was geared towards mom and dad, to let them know that, I knew what I was talking about and, here were the financial benefits of going ahead and helping your child buy a home now as opposed to waiting to give them their inheritance, in 20 years.
I love
So
that.
it was like you said, I told the story. I'm a GW graduate like yourself. I live in DC. I couldn't make it without my mom and dad, just like your
Yeah.
kids.
I love that. And again, I love that you know who you were talking to. And that's the part that I'm a little weary about with most agents because when I ask that, they have no clue who they're talking to. Like for me personally, my clientele, I'd say about 80% is 25 to 40-year-old single women. That's who's buying homes right now. And that's who tends to come to me. I'd say about 80% of my business is first-time home buyer, 25 to 40 single women. And I make content speaking to them. This is every single woman likes pretty houses because it's not like a man where we don't really care about decorations and all that stuff, but they do. Like they like that stuff, which is great. I love it. I'll make content for that. If you are going after the $5 to $10 million price point, you don't need to make content on this is what a pre-approval is. This is the first step to buying a home. Um, this is what title does, things like that. They know that. They have plenty of money if they're at that upper echelon of homes. What you need to be showing is that you're active in that price point. You know what their lifestyle is like. You have sold, or at least make it seem like you sold homes at that price point. You go to areas that they go to, things like that. You have to know who you're talking to so that way you can hit who you're talking to. And especially with social media, the way the algorithm is right now, it is such a different algorithm than it was before. It's so much harder to grow right now than it used to be because the way the algorithm is, it will if you're doing a talking video, it will actually pick up the words that you're saying in the video and do SEO from that. So if you want to hit people in, we'll say Potomac, Maryland, you need to be saying Potomac, Maryland, and talk about that in your video because it will do SEO from the words that you speak, as crazy as it sounds, and it will push out the video to people that have shown interest and Potomac, Maryland. It's no longer it no longer suffices just to put hashtags and things like that. And again, I don't want to go too deep, but you have to know who you're talking to be able to hit who you're talking to. So the first thing, if you know you want to grow and convert a brand, you need to know who you're talking to and cater to that person. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't change over time, but at least now you need to know who you're talking to. Niche down. It's okay because you don't want to hit everybody. Niche down, know who you're trying to talk to, and target those people and talk to those people, and you'll start to convert.
Okay, so I wanted to switch real quick. There have been a couple questions about which platform is more conducive to converting leads, or which one do you recommend?
So
Facebook, YouTube,
yeah,
Instagram.
you should do all of them. I know as crazy as that sounds, but for me personally, Instagram is the best for me. But I know folks that do great from TikTok. And really, in my opinion, the absolute best is YouTube. YouTube is still the GOAT. YouTube, and trying to get back into long form. I don't have the time personally to do long form. Um, but I would say you should be hitting all of the platforms. Facebook is typically an older demographic, um, which is okay. But if you want to hit like, folks that have been owning homes for a while, maybe they're trying to downsize, things like that, Facebook is great for that. Instagram, you have that 25 to 40 demographic. TikTok is normally, I'd say, about 21 to about 35-ish or so. On TikTok, LinkedIn is really untapped as well too. People don't use LinkedIn as much as they should. And again, YouTube is amazing. I know folks that's literally how they get 100% of their business, and they are crushing it on YouTube. So you pick who you want to target and what you think you can just be the most consistent with and focus on that. But I would say try to hit all of them if you can.
Okay, and then just specific on the static posts that you do, are those how do you post those? Is that through threads, someone's asking?
Yeah, so a few ways. I do post, and that's the beautiful part about Instagram too. When you post on Instagram, you can set it up to where it posts on Facebook and Threads all at the same time. So it hits all three platforms. Every static post that I do hits Threads too. So you can do, like, personally speaking, it's funny. People ask me what's my favorite social media platform. Twitter is actually my favorite social media platform. I'm on Twitter more than I'm on Instagram. Like for personal, like scrolling, I scroll Twitter more than I scroll anything else. I'm normally on Instagram to post, interact with folks, then I get off and I'll respond to like DMs and things like that. But I'm normally on Twitter 90% of the time if I'm on social media. So you don't have to always be on the platform that you want to focus on, but you want to nurture whatever platform that you really want to focus on. And there's no right or wrong answer there. All of them work if you work them. The work works if you work it.
What would you say to someone who is either uncomfortable speaking on camera or is just not a creative person and they want to go out and create, they have no idea what that first post or content is going to look like? What's a recommendation for them?
Do you want the nice answer or do you want like the real answer?
I think we want the real answer.
Okay, get over yourself. Because if I can do it, you can too. Stop telling what you tell yourself matters. When I as probably you're like, man, you're going a little deep. But when I started telling myself I was an influencer, I started telling myself I was a content creator, that's when the ideas started to flow. Stop telling yourself that you're bad on camera. Nobody probably would know that. You guys probably wouldn't know I'm nervous being on here. I'm always nervous when I speak in front of a crowd. Hopefully you don't know that, but the only way you can get better at something is by doing it. So if you're going to keep saying, I'm going to try, I'm nervous, I can't do this, then you won't. Because what you tell yourself, you're right. If you tell yourself you can't do it, you can't, and you won't. And you will continue to suck at it. But everybody sucks when they start. My first video was horrible. I like cringed thinking about my first video. It was horrible. but I've gotten much better over time. So if this was 5 years ago and I was doing this, I would be terrible. But I've done plenty of masterminds. Spoke at conferences. I've thrown my own conference. I have one coming up next year that I'm doing that's my conference too. And all of those things, I would have never thought I would do that 5 years ago when the pandemic started. But here I am because I've stayed consistent. So get over yourself. You can do this, but the only way you'll get better is pull out your camera and just start. Even if you feel like it's terrible the first time around, because it probably will, but you will get better.
All right. And we're getting close to the end. So I wanted to ask, where can someone learn more about leveling up their content creating game? Do you have talks on your YouTube channel or can we learn more from you somewhere?
Yeah, so I have courses that I made myself. I'd like to think they're pretty good. I've sold a couple thousand of them, so I'd like to think they're pretty good, and I've gotten pretty good reviews on it. You can find them on my page. Definitely follow my page, Chris Perry Real Estate, ChrisPerry Real Estate. Um, if you DM me, you got questions, I will try to answer any and all questions that I get. I always, well, the course is great. Buy it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's literally, I made the course. I have a few courses. I have two courses and an ebook. So not only do I teach how to do video, but I also teach how to monetize social media too, because that, again, another beautiful part, and I'll keep this brief, but another beautiful part about social media is how much money you can make outside of real estate. Brands pay me to make content for them. I get paid from platforms when I post. I also have a coaching program too that I get paid for from social media. People find me on social media and I coach them. And also my course sales and stuff too. So there are a bunch of different ways that you can make money from social media outside of real estate. And I teach all of that in my courses, in my ebook. It's good. I like to think. Maybe I'm biased,
All
but
right.
follow
Now
me on
for the
social media.
Sure. And I posted your link tree into the chat as well, so people
Awesome.
can go there and see all your links. For the people who haven't been paying attention at all, and I'm speaking up to get your attention, what's the one thing that they should bring away from this? Like, what's the one post that you think has the most potential to convert leads into a phone call or a DM?
That's a good question. One post, I would say, man, Tom, that's a good question. I would probably say tell some part of your story, right? So like how you got into real estate, why you're passionate about it, who you are. Keep it, brief. Please don't make it minutes long. But if you could concisely tell your story in, I'd say 30 seconds, that will pique people's interest, I believe, especially if you have, and everybody has some type of story, right? I don't care how boring you may think that you have some type of story. Everybody does. I would say that would be the one post. If I would tell anybody to just do one, it would be that. So that way people know who you are and they can identify with you.
All right. Are there any last minute questions?
Any
We
other
have just
questions?
a
We got a couple
couple
minutes
minutes
left.
left.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. This was great. We can do a part two sometime too if you'll have me back.
We would love that.
Awesome.
Well, I want to thank everyone for coming. I want to thank we've got a lot of Nita part twos in the comments. This was really helpful. You've given us a lot to sit down and think about, and it almost makes me want to go back to and don't. I hope Sarah's not paying attention. It almost makes me want to go back to being a real estate agent and get out there and make my videos. But we
What
do in our video.
I am paying attention, so I'm
what
on my
Well,
way
and
to
I
the
do.
airport, but this was amazing, Chris. Thank you so much. I want to make sure that
Thank you.
everybody on this call knows that we have monthly virtual free masterminds. The July one is going to be on commercial real estate with David Badis. It's going to be pretty awesome. And Chris, definitely, I'm going to take you up on, doing a part two.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for this.
I would love to. One thing I'll say for you guys too at Titan, I don't know very many title companies that do social media well. So for you guys, there's a big opportunity there for you. So if you can make title exciting, fun, funny, however you want to go about it, you have a big opportunity there. So social
Oh,
media
I'm
would be great for you
definitely
guys.
calling you.
Let
I'm
me know. I'm
definitely
here.
calling you. We're gonna partner up. We're gonna do coaching or whatever.
We need a marketing
Let's do it.
meeting with
Let's do
yeah.
it. Perfect. Well, thank you guys for having me. I really don't, again, I don't take it lightly anytime I get to speak to people. So thank you guys for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. And don't forget, we've recorded this,
Tell
so
something.
that'll be available if you miss something or perhaps the tutorial on how to do the captions. It'll be there.
Awesome.
But thank you all, and I hope to see you next month for commercial real estate.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.